Welcome to Hidden Chapters, where ancient wisdom meets modern storytelling. We uncover the extraordinary narratives that shaped humanity, bringing them to life through cinematic visuals and immersive storytelling. From the epic tale of Noah's Ark to other timeless accounts, we reconstruct these sacred stories with cutting-edge visualization, revealing their profound relevance to our modern world. Each episode carefully unravels the human elements, historical context, and eternal truths woven into these remarkable narratives. Join us every week as we unlock another hidden chapter in humanity's greatest story. If you're ready to embark on this extraordinary journey through time, subscribe now and activate notifications. Now, let's begin our exploration. Imagine standing at the threshold of humanity's greatest catastrophe. Not a war, not a plague, but the very heavens themselves opening up to cleanse the earth. This is not just another flood story. This is the account of how one man's unwavering faith saved not only his family, but every living creature on earth. In the annals of human history, few moments carry such weight, such devastating consequence, and such profound hope as this one. What you're about to hear isn't merely a tale of survival. It's a testament to the power of absolute faith in the face of impossible odds. A story that has echoed through thousands of years and still resonates with striking relevance today. In a world consumed by wickedness, where humanity had strayed far from their divine purpose, one man stood apart. Noah, a name that would echo through millennia, found favor in the eyes of God. But this favor came with an extraordinary burden. He alone would preserve life on earth through the coming deluge. Consider the weight of such a calling, to be the sole righteous soul in a world of corruption. The scriptures tell us that the earth was filled with violence, that every inclination of human thought was evil all the time. Yet Noah walked with God, maintaining his integrity in a society that had abandoned all moral compass. His neighbors must have thought him mad, a relic of outdated beliefs, as he lived differently, spoke differently, and warned of things they couldn't comprehend. Yet he persisted, day after day, year after year, in perfect obedience to a vision only he could see. Genesis chapter 7 opens with God's final command to Noah. After 120 years of construction, mockery, and unwavering faith, the moment of truth had arrived. "Come into the ark," God said, "you and all your household." These words marked the beginning of the most extraordinary rescue mission in human history. Imagine the gravity of that moment, a century and more of preparation culminating in these simple yet profound words. Consider how Noah's heart must have raced as he heard this divine directive. The sky remained clear, the earth dry, yet God's command was unmistakable, and the time had come. All those years of enduring ridicule, of explaining his actions to skeptical neighbors, of maintaining faith in a promise that seemed impossible. They were about to be vindicated. The very same voices that had mocked him would soon cry out in desperation, but by then, it would be too late. A massive vessel, stretching longer than a football field, built not by a shipwright, but by a man who had never seen rain. The ark stood as a testament to absolute trust in divine guidance. 7 days remained before the first droplet would fall. The ark's dimensions were precise: 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. In modern measurements, that's roughly 450 feet in length, 75 feet in width, and 45 feet in height. 3 decks of intricate construction, designed not just to float, but to preserve life through the most catastrophic event in human history. The logistics alone were staggering. The gathering of gopher wood, the careful application of pitch, both inside and out, the construction of countless compartments to house every species of animal. This was no simple boat. It was a masterpiece of divine engineering, built by human hands, but designed by cosmic intelligence. The local population must have watched its construction with a mixture of amusement and concern. A massive ship being built far from any body of water by a man claiming to follow divine blueprints. Then came the Great Migration. 2 by 2, the animals arrived, from the mightiest elephants to the smallest mice. Of clean animals, 7 pairs entered, ensuring their survival for future sacrifices and sustenance. The air must have been thick with the sounds of countless creatures, each following an invisible call to safety. Imagine the spectacle: predator and prey walking side by side, guided by an instinct planted by their creator. Lions padding quietly past gazelles, wolves ignoring sheep, eagles perching near doves. This supernatural procession defied every natural law, every instinct of survival and predation. The skeptics who had mocked Noah's faith for decades must have fallen silent at this sight. How could anyone explain this extraordinary parade of wildlife? From the skies came birds of every kind. From the forests emerged creatures never before seen in these parts. From distant lands came animals no one had ever witnessed. Each animal, perfectly paired, orderly, and calm, as if orchestrated by an unseen conductor. This was more than migration. It was divine choreography on an unprecedented scale. Noah, 600 years old, led his family aboard. His wife, their 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. 8 souls in total, carrying the future of humanity in their blood. Think about the weight of responsibility resting on these 8 individuals. They weren't just survivors. They were the custodians of human civilization, carrying with them not just their own lives, but the future of our entire species. Each member of this family had their role: maintaining the animals, managing supplies, preserving knowledge and skills that would be essential for rebuilding once the waters receded. Consider the emotional burden they carried as well. These 8 people weren't just leaving their homes. They were saying goodbye to everyone and everything they had ever known. Friends, extended family, neighbors, all would be lost to the flood. They carried with them not just the hope of future generations, but the memories and knowledge of a world that was about to vanish beneath the waters. On the 17th day of the 2nd month, everything changed. The fountains of the great deep burst forth. Imagine underground water reservoirs exploding with catastrophic force. The windows of heaven opened and rain fell with an intensity never seen before or since. This wasn't just a storm. This was creation itself being unmade. The sound must have been deafening. The roar of underground aquifers erupting, the constant drumming of torrential rain, the growing surge of rising waters. Lightning split the sky in continuous displays of nature's fury, while thunder shook the very foundations of the earth. The people outside the ark, who had dismissed Noah's warnings for decades, now faced the terrifying reality of his prophecies. Imagine their desperate scramble for higher ground, their futile attempts to save themselves from waters that kept rising, rising, rising. The very order of creation was being reversed. The separation of waters above and below, established on the second day of creation, was being undone before their eyes. For 40 days and 40 nights, water fell. Cities disappeared. Mountains vanished beneath the waves. Every living thing that moved upon the earth perished. Birds, livestock, wild animals, and all humanity. The waters rose 15 cubits above the highest mountains, ensuring nothing could survive outside the ark. This wasn't a local flood or regional disaster. This was global catastrophe on an unimaginable scale. Every valley filled, every plateau submerged, every mountain peak overwhelmed. The world that had taken thousands of years to build civilizations, establish cultures, and develop technologies was erased in a matter of weeks. The waters were relentless, showing no mercy, making no distinctions between the powerful and the weak, the rich and the poor. Great cities, architectural marvels, libraries of knowledge, all vanished beneath the unstoppable advance of the flood. The world's topography was being violently reshaped as water currents carved new valleys and reshaped mountain ranges. This was more than destruction. It was the complete reset of Earth's surface. The flood prevailed upon the earth for 150 days. Think about that. 5 months of floating above a drowned world. Inside the ark, Noah and his family tended to their precious cargo, preserving the only life left on earth, while everything they had ever known ceased to exist beneath the waters. Each day brought new challenges, feeding and caring for thousands of animals, maintaining supplies, dealing with waste, and preserving their own sanity in the face of such isolation. The ark became their entire world, a self-contained ecosystem sustained by divine provision and human dedication. They had no way to navigate, no way to control their direction. They were completely at the mercy of the waters and their faith in God's promise. Imagine the psychological toll of knowing you were the only survivors, floating above a world where everyone and everything you once knew had perished. The responsibility must have been overwhelming. The future of every species, the preservation of human civilization, all resting on their ability to maintain order and sustain life within the confines of the ark. This story isn't just about destruction. It's about renewal. It's about having the courage to stand alone when the whole world thinks you're mad. It's about trusting in something greater than yourself, even when evidence suggests otherwise. The flood narrative speaks to us across millennia about themes that remain startlingly relevant: environmental catastrophe, divine judgment, human corruption, and the power of faithful obedience. It challenges us to consider our own lives, our own society, and ask difficult questions about where we stand. Are we, like the people of Noah's time, so absorbed in our daily lives that we ignore the warnings around us? Or do we have the courage to stand apart, to live differently, to build our own arcs in preparation for the challenges we see coming? The story reminds us that sometimes the majority isn't right, that popular opinion isn't always wise, and that true wisdom might require us to take positions that others consider foolish. The waters would eventually recede, and life would begin anew. That's another chapter in this extraordinary tale. What matters is that through one man's faith, Humanity received a second chance. This wasn't just a reset. It was a renewal, a fresh start for creation itself. The flood story teaches us that endings can also be beginnings, that destruction can lead to renewal, and that faith, true, unwavering faith, can literally save the world. The Ark wasn't just a boat. It was a bridge between two worlds. The world that was and the world that would be. Through Noah's obedience, through his family's dedication, and through divine providence, life persisted. The world that emerged from the floodwaters was clean, renewed, ready for a fresh start. And with it came a divine promise, marked by the rainbow, that never again would such a flood destroy the earth. If this story has moved you, I invite you to reflect on your own life. What arcs are you building? What warnings are you heeding or ignoring? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to join me on more journeys through these ancient texts that still speak profound truths today. Hit that notification bell to ensure you never miss an upload. And if you found value in this narrative, spread the word by sharing it with someone who needs to hear this message of faith and redemption. Together, let's explore more of these timeless stories that continue to shape our understanding of faith, courage, and human purpose. And remember, sometimes the most important journeys begin with a single step of faith, just as Noah's journey began with a single act of obedience.